Well, race fans, thank you for that wonderful tribute to Mike Stefanik and all that he is to NASCAR modified racing here at Thompson and throughout the country. Hall of Famer who will be greatly missed and already is. 40 strong, set to go racing. Nothing better than sunshine and the sound of modifieds. Bobsleigh throws the yellow flag and the pace laps begin. Andrew Krause has never been on the front row, leading one of these Whelen Modified Tour races under the start, his first pole award. And as he looks to his right, he sees a defending champ, Matt. And as he looks in the rearview mirror, he sees a 5-time champion who will be battling for the crown here today to see if they can win another Whelen Modified Tour title.
So we start with a very emotional beginning in this race, and when the M6 went on pit road and all the pit members went over the wall to applaud that car, it reminded me of one thing. When Dale Earnhardt won the Daytona 500 and all the crew members lined up to applaud him, and what the effect that Dale Earnhardt had on that series, that's what Mike Stefanik had in the Whelen Modified Tour, and it was just heartwarming to see all the crew members applaud one more time Mike Stefanik.
A 15-time winner here at Thompson Speedway in Whelen Modified Tour competition, but countless other wins throughout his career. Here they are, the first time coming on through under pace speed. That's Sunoco pace car out in front, the Thompson Speedway Chevrolet Camaro leading the way. Andrew Krause in the 24 from Palmdale, New Jersey. You've got the Long Island, New York driver, the 51, Justin Bonsignore. And Bonsignore, by the way, who has been just so good here at this racetrack. He's won every race that's been run here in the last 2 years except for one. And that was the last time we raced here, and that one went to Doug Coby in the 2 car to break the streak. But Bonsignore, one of the favorites coming in, got a very strong pit crew on pit lane led by Ryan Stone. Doug Coby in the 2. Remember, Coby to win the championship has to finish 14th or better regardless of what Justin Bonsignore does, and he'll be a 6-time Whelen Modified Tour champion.
Doug Coby is pretty calculating. I think he knows exactly what he needs to do. He proved it when we talked to him in the Q&A. But there's an old cliche in motorsports, when the point leader wins the final race, you don't have to do any arithmetic. And I think Coby, he might be, especially in the beginning of the race, going all out to get to the winner's circle.
Field coming through this time by Patrick Emmerling in the 07. Has got a very experienced man behind him calling the shots in the form of Jan Leedy. It's a great combination. That car can look to do great things. How about Ronnie Silk in that black and purple number 85, a former champion of the series as well. And he's a guy who knows how to win at this racetrack. This is one of his better racetracks when you look at it statistically. Ronnie Silk in that 6th position, car 85, somebody to keep an eye on throughout this 150.
You might not be able to see that in the beginning of the race, but at Thompson, Ron Silk is one of the big-time closers. So expect to see him shine in the second 75 laps. So we got the first win this season for the car owner, our first of his career for Kevin Stewart, and he is lined up with Chris Pastriak looking for his first ever Whelen Modified Tour victory.
Race fans, as the field makes their way down the back straightaway, this time through up into the banking of turn number 3, we're going to need your help. We're going to need you to give these drivers a big Thompson Speedway World Series send-off. Take your hat, program whatever you brought with you here today, stand up on your feet, send these drivers off, give them a big wave. You'll be on NBC if you do. We get set to go racing here this afternoon. Whelen Modified Tour, 40 strong here this day. Thompson Speedway, the quiet corner of the state, but not for the next hour and a half.
No, it will be rowdy. So thank you for showing your support to these heroes. As they move into turn number 1, we direct your attention to the starter stand. Our Grand Marshal getting ready to wave the green flag, Amy St. Ange. So she is ready for action. We are ready for action. And ready behind the microphone, coming after a successful appearance at the Busket 250, he is ready for the grand finale of 2019, Joe Koss.
Field rolls down into turn number 3, looking for the green flag this time. Justin Bonsignore on the inside lane. It's Andrew Krause, the pole sitter, who will command the start as they come up off turn number 4, looking for the green flag. Amy St. Anne to top the flag stand, ready to turn them loose here in the Sunoco 150. Field comes off turn number 4, and the green flag is out, and we are underway on World Series weekend.
And Bonsignor already on a mission in car number 51, but here comes Krause. Got some lift off the second turn, and he moves into the lead.
Andrew Krause saying, what championship battle? I'm going after the lead. Here is Krause to lead him up off turn number 4. Bonsignor right behind him. Krause goes sideways off the turn. That means Bonsignor to feather that throttle ever so slightly and settle into the second spot.
Getting a little red bumpers on the inside is Doug Kobe as he is trying to get out of Everling for the number 3 spot. Bonsignor works on the back bumper of Krause. He takes it down low as he tries to whirlwind his way underneath Krause and move into the lead.
Bottom of turn number 1, Bonsignor on the 51 goes wheel to wheel with Andrew Krause. Krause steps up to the high lane of the racetrack. He's got momentum to the side, and it'll work to his advantage into turn number 3. So Krause holds on to the top spot. Then it's Justin Bonsignor, Patrick Emmerling, and Doug Covey, your top 4.
So right behind them, and Craig Lutz has moved into 6th place. So 2 cars pulling away from the pack. Krause and Bonsignor. Pastriak is stuck on the inside. He is losing some ground and now makes a lunge at Timmy Salamito trying to pick up a spot.
A pretty aggressive move early on by the 75 and Chris Pastriak to dive down to the bottom side of the racetrack. Meanwhile, up front, Bonsignor going back on the attack, trying to find a way around that 24 of Andrew Krause. This time they're dead even off the end of the back straightaway into turn 3.
And he makes a lunge, and it will be Justin Bonsignor. He will be leading.
Oh, trouble, 5. Turn 4. The 75 goes around. It's Chris Pastriak off the front bumper of the 16, Timmy Salamito. Pastriak is able to continue on, spun it without hitting anything through the grass, comes back up to speed. The caution flag is out for the 75 who went spinning down through the infield up off turn number 4. It all started when Chris Pastriak, making some very aggressive moves in the early part of this race, got up off turn number 4, came across the nose of Timmy Salamito. Salamito wasn't going to lift, sent him down through the grass. The 75 went spinning, didn't hit anything, but the caution is out. 6 laps in to the Sunoco 150.
There was also a problem for Patrick Emmerling as he had trouble on the backstretch as he lost ground, made a quick pit stop. We'll find out about that stop and everything else from our pit reporters, Pete Falcone and Dave Barabalt.
Yeah, Patrick Emmerling is right back here in his spot. No oil pressure is the report from their crew, and they're going to try and take a look and figure it out. A tough break for him, although a well-timed caution because he would have come in here under the green. So they're looking under the hood of the 07 to try and find out what's going on.
All of a sudden, that car lost its energy supply, and it was free-falling to the rear of the field. And as Pete said, very fortunate caution, and he was able to come in twice to try to correct that problem of no oil pressure. And there is Emmerling. He will go rejoining his pals, or will he make another stop as he is trying to stay on the lead lap? Pastriak is in car number 75.
Yeah, no surprise there with his spin down through the grass. The problem is when you get into the grass here, a lot of times it's just like your lawnmower at the end of the day. It kicks up all that extra grass on top of the lawnmower. Well, the problem is in a race car, it's kind of the radiator that it gets all clogged up. So you've got to go in there and get that grass and dirt out of that radiator. They're also looking, Pete, at the left rear where he made contact with Timmy Salamito.
Yeah, he's got some pretty good body damage there, too. They're going to try and uncrinkle that a little bit, but they want to make sure that it's not more than cosmetic. So they're going to have a good look while we remain under caution.
All right, Pete Falcone working pit lane for us here today. Andrew Moeller is on pit road in the 35 as we work the first caution here. Now 8 laps in to the Sunoco 150. Matt, the 24 car of Andrew Krause has been an interesting story, and we noted how this car has been running very well here at Thompson Speedway, so no surprise to see him on the pole. Last time we were here, or last time he raced here, he came home in the 7th spot, and that was during the Bud 150 in the month of August. But I'm surprised, knowing that there's a championship battle on the line, how aggressive Andrew Krause is being, racing with Justin Bonsignor, racing with Doug Covey. Certainly not that he's got to give anything away, but he's not holding anything back among these champions. He's going at it.
Well, he has sponsors, and I think they want to see him fight for the lead, and they have seen it through the first handful of laps. Emmerling is back That is the third time he has been on pit road. And the reason he keeps going out and coming back in, he wants to stay on the lead lap. So Timmy Catalano, he made a trip to pit road. Pastriak is out in car number 75. So a lot of drama on the pit, in the pits already, as we have completed 9 laps. So Krause, I think he likes hanging out with the big boys, Bonsignor and Kobe. So we'll see what he does on this restart. Bonsignor has elected to go on the outside, as the leader has that option of inside or outside. And most of the time, the leader will pick outside, but there are some times where they go against the common strategy. We'll see what happens to Bonsignor.
I think that may change throughout the day. As Doug Kobe said earlier in a pre-race interview, he said at the end of the race, I'm probably taking the bottom because that's probably a safe place for me. But right now, it's not about being safe. It's about being aggressive at this point in the race and controlling the pace. We'll be 10 laps in when we get the green flag. Justin Bonsignor is the race leader on the outside lane of the racetrack as we come down to the green flag, and we're back underway.
Silk explodes like lava out of a volcano. He moves into second, right behind the back bumper of Bonsignor.
Here comes 85 Ronnie Silk, and he's got help from the 16 and Timmy Salamito up the top side of the racetrack. So it's now Bonsignor, Ronnie Silk second. Third now belongs to the 16 and Timmy Salamito, and don't look now. How about that pink and black number 36? That's Bobby Santos.
And Andrew Krause is faded from first to fifth as he has lost 4 positions since it started. Kobe is right behind him in car number 2, and then Pitcat in the black number 1 car. But it is Bonsignor getting an early challenge from Ron Silk.
Here they come back down into turn number 2. Bonsignor, Silk. Silk's had a really good season here this year as well with that Kevin Stewart, number 85. Go a little bit deeper in the field. You see some good action. Woody Pitcat starting to carve his way through the field in 1 as he works over the back bumper of Doug Kobe.
Trouble in turn 3.
Boy.
As we have a mess. About 8 cars involved. In the middle of that is Bertuccio in the 12. And we have a traffic jam.
Boy, it might be easier to list off who wasn't in that wreck than who was.
I think a lot of these guys will be able to drive away.
A couple of the drivers involved. Andy Jankowiak was in it.
And
they're going to throw the red flag.
Because that is a very easy car to spot. That lime green, number 55.
So Joey Muchacharo is in it. The 18 of Ken Hagee is involved. Calvin Carroll is in it. We mentioned the 47 of Joey Muchacharo, his car involved in the incident as well. The green number 55, that's Andy Jankowiak. He's in the middle of that accident.
Mark Buckeye in the 52.
Red flag is out for the second incident here, lap 12 of the Sunoco 150. All happened at the end of the back straightaway. One car got down into the grass. It was the 22 car of Kyle Bonsignor. He got into the grass, and the car spun to the right, went up the racetrack, and everybody hit the brakes and then hit each other. Like a good old-fashioned traffic stop up at I-90 on the Mass Pike where you got nowhere to go but sit in traffic. When Bonsignor's car came across the racetrack, everybody climbed on the brakes. They had nowhere to go and just piled in. You know, one thing I've noticed about the track here, Matt, and if you're sitting up in turn number 4, you probably see this better than anybody because you're behind the cars as they come off the turn. Those cars are getting really loose coming up off the turn. This track is very different than it was here yesterday. Yesterday, coming off the rain on Friday, you come into the race here yesterday, practice, it's cool conditions, a little bit of moisture in the air. Today, 65 degrees and sunny. The track is different. They've been really, really skating around out there in the racetrack. So some of these teams, certainly when they get to the accelerator, putting all that horsepower down coming off the corners, the car's been stepping out to the sideways. When you climb on the brakes, kind of does the same thing without a lot of heat in the tires.
We noticed that right on the first lap. There were a couple of drivers who had some stutter steps coming off the corner. Now, Patrick Emmerling was going to make a pit stop under green, and that would have KO'd his chances, but then the yellow came out. Remember, they can't work on the car now because it's a red flag, But Emmerling was going to be multiple laps down because he was pitting under green, but then the green turned into red. So that might be a break for Emmerling if they can quickly make some improvements to that car. But it is still a mess, a log jam in between turns 3 and 4, right to the left of the Bud Light sign. And one of our drivers is able to get away, but it looks like he has a flat left front tire.
Other cars involved that we haven't mentioned, Gary Putnam in the 77 car. And the 12 car for J.R. Bertuccio also involved up in the incident in turns 3 and 4. So the red flag is out. While we take a moment to clean this wreck up from turns 3 and 4 and get the racetrack cleared and ready to go, Patrick Emmerling is down on pit lane, and Pete Falcone, when you've got the opportunity here under the red flag, it gives you a bit of time to look at the race car and strategize a little bit as to what you might do to try to fix the oil pressure problem that they had earlier in the race. And sometimes a situation like that early in the race could be good for a guy like Patrick Emmerling.
Well, a little bit of a team meeting going on, as at least they can discuss what they're going to look at first. They've got the air cleaner off the car, and 3 or 4 of the guys have been looking over the engine. So they got a plan as to where they're going to go as soon as that red flag is lifted, and they can get under there and actually take a look and figure out what this oil pressure problem is.
Pete Falcone down on pit lane for us here today. The 77 car badly damaged for Gary Putnam. They've got that car on the hook, pulling it down the banking in turns 3 and 4. Matt, at the start of the race today, you mentioned about Timmy Salamito, who just last night at about midnight or so released on social media that this would be the last ride in the number 16 team. That Eric Sanderson, the car owner who has been on the Whelen Modified Tour as an owner for many, many years. One of those cars that kind of reminds you of the 4 car that was on tour for so many years, or the 3 car, Old Blue, between the Mystic Missile, the 4 car, the 3 car Old Blue, cars that have just been, so familiar and ingrained in Whelen Modified Tour history. Timmy Salamito will have to look for a new opportunity next season. He's had some good runs in this car, nearly won a championship, several victories, but this car has got a lot of history. And I think if you look over the recent past for some of the newer race fans, you remember when now Cup Series driver Ryan Preece won a championship, his only Whelen Modified Tour championship, driving for Eric Sanderson in that number 16 team. Mike Stefanik won his last championship driving that number 16 car. It's got a lot of history, especially here over the past decade or so. Eric Sanderson, his wife Denise Reynolds, decided that, it's time for us to hang it up. We've had a good, long career as car owners in the Whelen Modified Tour. We know we've got a great driver. They honored him today in the drivers' meeting for the Whelen Modified Tour competitors. It was an emotional moment for him and the entire team. But, boy, it is going to be hard not seeing the Sandersons and that 16 team out on the track here in Whelen Modified Tour competition. After a long and successful career, he's deciding to retire.
And Timmy Salamito has always raced well here at Thompson. So this has been one of his favorite tracks, as he said a few times. This is a track where he made a name for himself and had his coming out party, finishing 4th one year at the Icebreaker. And that kind of lifted his confidence level. So it will be a big surprise. Chris Kopech was the first driver who drove for Eric Sanderson, and he was able to win. And then when Mike Stefanik came on the scene in that 16 car, I believe it was 2009, and it was the 7th and final championship for Mike Stefanik. And Ryan Preece, he did well, winning a title. So, as you said, there is a lot of tradition in that race car. And, Ted Williams hit a home run in his final at-bat. George Summers, here at the World Series, won his final race that he was ever in. So who knows what Tim Salamito can do in car number 16. He is currently 3rd.
He's won 2 races here at Thompson, and the last one that he won was on World Series weekend when he was in the middle of a championship battle. And he had to win and do everything he could to win the race. He won the race, but then it was Doug Coby who was able to win the championship by the smallest of margins in one of the most exciting championship battles just 2 years ago in that orange and white number 16 for Timmy Salamito, who, by the way, quit his day job in January and is doing pretty good for himself in the graphic design business, all through networking through motorsports. And he says, I don't have a business card. I haven't taken out any advertisements. I've used social media and my network through racing to be able to build my business. And he's a full-time graphic designer doing that out of Long Island. Just built a shop down there and has a place to operate out of now. So a lot of good things happening for Timmy Salamito. We're sure that he'll land on his feet somewhere. The question is, where?
Well, we learned how powerful the social media can be as Timmy Salamito made his announcement at midnight. In the old days, if you make an announcement on Saturday night at midnight, it wouldn't get into the newspapers until Monday. He makes his announcement last night, and everybody knows about it. So he knows the power of the social media, and the whole Thompson area was buzzing when we arrived this morning about the news that he gave on his social media page.
Well, that's the advantage of being a night owl like yourself. You're up on all the news, no matter what time of day it happens.
That's it. As long as the clock is ticking, we will be able to find out. Bobby Santos right behind the 16 of Salamito. You were there at the Musket 250 when Bobby Santos pulled off the win. It was like he wasn't even in the race for the first half, and then at the end you couldn't stop talking about him.
I'd have to go back and look at the statistics on it to really be sure, but I think if you look at Bobby Santos over the past couple of years, I'm just going to guess at this because I don't really have it in front of me, but Bobby Santos has probably won, 4 or 5 races at New Hampshire Motor Speedway over the past couple of seasons, and he's probably led like a sum total of 15 laps every time he's done it. He always wins and passes late in the races. Maybe I'm off on that stat, but I mean, it feels like it, right? He wins by passing and making runs late. You're not going to see Santos go out there and just dominate races. He's got this ability to conserve his equipment and to be able to strike when it counts, and he's cashed in on some pretty big paydays as a result. What's interesting about that 36 car for Bobby Santos, you look at it, it's a little bit different. Not only does it have pink on the race car in support of Breast Cancer Awareness Month here in October, but the black machine, if you look really closely on one of the pillars, this is an LFR2 chassis, and you heard it, LFR2. There is now a second version of the LFR chassis, and this is supposed to be a redesign that Robbie Fuller put together with new widgets, new suspension components, you name it. If you're an engineer, you probably know it better than me, but there's a lot of excitement around this car, and this is the direction that they're going to head in 2020. Now, the question becomes is what happens to Bobby Santos? Because remember, Bobby Santos is in this 36 car in place of his car owner, Dave Zapienza, who normally drives it, but he broke his back in an accident in the Wall Stadium earlier this season. And so the question becomes, where does Bobby Santos race next year? Well, the serious conversation from sources that I'm told is that Bobby Santos may be looking to run a part-time ride with the Tinio team, teaming up with the Zapienza team. Because of the success they had here this season, you might see a 2-car stable coming out of the Zapienza Motorsports team in 2020. But you didn't hear it from me.
Well, the last time that the Tour was here, Bobby Santos nearly won the race. It was a broken shifter that cost him. We are going to get some information from Pit Road as we send it to Pete Falcone.
Well, let's go to the source because Dave Sapienza is here, and these guys were just talking about the fact, what is the future with Sapienza Racing? What are you doing, and what's going on with Bobby Santos?
We're still trying to iron a few more things out, but I'll be back next year, and I'm sure he's going to be in one of our cars part-time. You know, we've got a few things to iron out, but we're talking about teaming up here and there in certain events.
And while we got you, you got to be pretty confident about the run today.
Oh, yeah, and most definitely. That's a brand-new car, like you were saying before, and, you know, yesterday was the first day we had it out. We didn't really struggle, but there's a few things that we just got to readjust, and they figured it out overnight, and he looks like he's sitting pretty good in 4th right now, so I'm just going to keep my fingers crossed, you know, and hope for the best. We had it last time here, so hopefully nothing breaks.
All right, thanks, Dave.
You're welcome, thanks.
So there's the answer to the story right there from the man himself.
There you go.
While Dave Sapienza was talking, Joe was busy patting himself on the back because that is one scoop that isn't on social media, but you hear it here first at Thompson Speedway at the World Series.
Hey, every once in a while I get lucky, but Dave Zapienza confirming the car owner. It would be good to see Dave back in the car because before he broke his back, man, he was driving pretty good. He had a nice little run going there in that 36 car and was having a pretty good start to the season. And so it'll be interesting seeing them with 2 cars because you don't see that very often in the Whelen Modified Tour. That's not, you know, we've seen owners do things together where you've got a little bit of help, but you really don't see 2 cars coming out of the same stable. And so it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out in the 2020 season.
So it was confirmed by the best possible source, Dave Sapienza himself.
The
So
guy
I
who
think
signs the checks.
Yeah, so I think that is an official scoop. So we will be just about ready to go back. We see the cleanup is completed in turn number 3, and the pace car is starting to move again. Justin Bonsignor is starting to move again. So we are going to restart this race in a moment with 13 laps on the board, just scratching the surface. And now the drama shifts on pit road, and we'll see if they can make a quick fix on that 07, and it doesn't look like that is going to happen.
So we'll see what happens here as they get that hood off. Now that the red flag has been lifted, the team, well, they've got all their X's and zeros laid out in the locker room. Now they've got to see if they can execute it here on game day and try not to lose as much track position. They added a lap to the scoreboard because everybody rolled on by. So as the field comes by this time through, you're going to see Patrick Emmerling, well,
they made it. Here he is, and he, I think this will keep him on the lead lap, because when he came into pits on green, the green quickly turned to yellow and then red because of the melee in turn number 3. So Patrick Emmerling, we're going to get more confirmation from pit road and Pete Falcone.
Yeah, well, he pulled out of there without getting the air cleaner back on or the hood, just to get out there and try to stay on the lap. As you can see, he's going to come right back in again, and they're going to finish what they were doing. But they found the distributor loose on the top of the engine and had to make that adjustment. Now, they think that's going to solve the problem. They'll find out when we go back to green flag racing, or at least with the just the lap that he took around there to make sure that the oil pressure was back where they wanted it to be. So he is pulling back in. Air cleaner's going to go on. The hood will go back on, and he should be good to go.
Well, Pete, thanks for that report. If you're used to working with engines, that distributor, very, very important. Fires all the spark plugs, keeps the engine in time. If that thing's rattling around and turning left and turning right, when he steps on the gas, either the throttle's going to be there or it's not. And boy, you've got to get that sorted out. So they've got that distributor tightened down now in that 07 car. Air cleaner is on, hood is on. Good work by that 07 team. Keep Patrick Emmerling still in the hunt. He's way back in the field, but Matt, we do have the opportunity for some pit stops today. Strategy will come into play, and we haven't talked about that yet so far in the first 15 laps. But these drivers can come in for 4 tires at some point during the race. You can take 4 anytime you want. You can take them all at once. The only rule that the Whelen Modified Tour has is that if you come down pit road, you can't take fuel and tires at the same time on the same pit stop. And they do that just for a safety reason with fuelers and air guns with sparks flying out on the pit lane. They try to reduce that hazard, and so that's why they do it that way. So we'll see how that plays out a little bit later on in the day today. Some more action on pit road. Joey Mooch, who was in that incident in the 47s on pit lane. And we also see some of the other cars coming down pit lane, including Kyle Bonsignor and the Catalano car getting some service here 15 laps in.
And Elwood is making his way back out. Muchachero is staying on pit road. So according to our monitor here in the booth, Joe, Emmerling is a lap down, but he can get that lap back by virtue of the lucky dog. So Emmerling not in too bad a shape, because 1 lap down, that means he is the first car that will get that lucky dog on the next caution.
Matt, on that round of pit stops, Doug Kobe had to come down pit lane. The left rear tire had gone flat. Pete, what happened?
Well, that's what they're trying to figure out. They got the tire here. They got 3 or 4 guys looking at it, trying to figure out what would have caused it to go down, looking all over it. And so therefore, they haven't figured out yet whether he ran over something or what the be. But they got the tire out there, and everybody's looking at it, trying to figure it out. That was an interesting situation there to have him come in early. But luckily, because of the caution, he's able to come in and change a tire without losing a lap.
So, Pete, that puts Doug Kobe back in the 28th position, exactly where he doesn't want to be. He's deep in the field, 40 cars on track, and things could change quickly for Doug Kobe in this championship chase. Justin Bonsignor trying to seize and capitalize on the struggles for Doug Kobe. Contact Kobe. He gets into the side of the 22 with Gary McDonald on the back straightaway and nearly went down through the infield grass.
And he looks strong now. It was Bonsignor in car number 22, the car in front of him, and Kobe able to get by him as he is able to get by Catalano, and a pretty good recovery by Kobe. Remember, now the yellow comes back out. Doug Kobe, he wanted to be at least in the top 14, so I think his strategy just went out the window, and now he will come up with a different game plan.
Man,
Doug Kobe,
wow,
29th. Now we adjust our scoring, and he is 25th.
So this changes the complexion of everything. So Justin Bonsignor, Ryan Stone, his crew chief, has said to him, listen, the 2-car of Doug Kobe, they've got problems. Now, it's still early in the race. We're only 19 laps in, and a lot can happen. But keep an eye on that 2-car of Doug Kobe, because here's the thing. There's a lot of drivers out here in the race today that aren't usually on the Whelen Modified Tour. Sometimes they run at the Riverhead Raceway, or they run at other racetracks, but maybe they're not full-time drivers. And they're drivers that Doug Kobe doesn't race around a lot. The challenge there becomes is you don't know their tendencies. You don't know what to expect out of them. And so when you try to make a move to the left, you anticipate what the other driver's going to do. Doug Kobe anticipated what was going to happen off turn number 2. He made contact with another car and nearly went through the grass on the back straightaway after that green flag. That's why he can't afford to be back there in that 29th position if he wants to win the championship. So he's got to be careful. How aggressive do you get trying to get out of that? Because the more aggressive you are, you could wind yourself right into trouble. Or do you stay back there and lose the championship? It's a no-win situation for this team right now, and they're mired deep in the pack.
Well, it's too early to panic, because only 20 laps will be completed when they get the line. We think of the icebreaker. Doug Kobe was leading that race. What happened to him? He ran over something and had to go into the pits, and it cost him the race. Even though I think he finished 6th, it cost him the victory there. And now in the last race of the season, lightning strikes to him again. I think the 017 is just about thrown in the towel, as that car now is behind the wall. So nothing went right for the first 20 laps for Patrick Emmerling. And you could put Doug Kobe in that same category, because he was in the upper tier of the field, and now he is in the bottom of the field in 25th place, looking to dig himself out of the hole. And I think he has to be very patient.
Yep.
If he makes a drastic move now, the whole season could go crumbling in front of him. Patience, I think, it will be the ally of Doug Kobe.
And he's got to be careful here. He said in pre-race, I don't want to restart on the outside if I don't have to. He's on the outside now. Green flag about set to come out on the front row. It's Bobby Santos and Justin Bonsignor as we get the green. It's clean as they come through the start-finish line. And here comes Santos digging on the bottom.
But a great move by Bonsignor as he was launched back into the lead. Ronnie Silk underneath Woody Pitcat. That is a fight for 3rd place. They fire him all their way off the corner, and it is Pitcat to hang on to 3rd by his toenail.
Boy, Woody Pitcat's making that Eddie Harvey #1 car look really good here today. Running in the 3rd spot, teamed up with his team midway through the season. Right behind him, Billy Salavito in that 16 car, coming right on through to slide into 4th.
And right behind him, making some noise, that is the 46 of Craig Lux. So he is off to a great start. He has run well in every race here at Thompson this year. So Doug Kobe trying to dig himself out of a pretty big crater. But it is Bonsignor doing what he needs to do. Not only does he need to win, he would also like to lead the most laps so he can get a bonus point there.
Right now, that's working to his advantage, though. Look at Doug Kobe a little further back. Single file among most of the top 10. Kobe is right behind guys who are 2 and 3 wide. Where does he go? He looks to go to the bottom side of the racetrack, trying to follow J.B. Fortin on through and see if he can sneak past Kyle Silver and some of the others that are running back there around 20th and 25th. Kobe right in line off turn number 2, and they are still side by side ahead.
Kobe is 23rd, and he needs to get into 14th to put a padlock on the title. Good battle between Jimmy Salamito in the 16, Ronnie Silk in the 85. Silk almost tried to get underneath him. One guy who has moved into the top tier we haven't talked about, Eric Goodale, as he is in that nuclear color, number 58. Matt Swanson has been setting in car number 3. Swanson is currently running 8th.
Swanson having a solid day, trying to maintain the top 95 championship point standing. Doug Colby deep during the field, gets by the 5 machine, sneaks underneath him, and slides into position here. Now he'll have to set his sights on Kyle Soper, who's right ahead in that white and red number 95. Meanwhile, Ronnie Silk has a lane down to the inside of Timmy Salamito down in turn number 1. He'll take the spot away.
And Doug Colby moving in on Soper. That is a fight for 20th place. And Colby almost got underneath him, but then Soper had some giddy up coming out of turn 2. Colby will try it again.
One of the challenges for Colby is that ahead of him, the 06 machine of Sammy Rainbow, who's got a lot of experience at this racetrack through the Modified Racing Series, is carving his way through the field, but he's kind of hung up with Blake Barney right now in the 14 car, so Colby's got to sit there and ride. Now they are 2x2 ahead of him still. This time it's Soper and Rainbow going at it. When Colby looks in the rearview mirror, they're 2x2 behind him. He's got nowhere to go.
Barney came close to hitting the wall on the backstretch, and Colby does not want to get into the middle of that. Up at the front, Thompson, he was able to expand his lead over Bobby Santos. Pastriak is making a move against Robbie Summers. Remember, he was in 4th or 5th place when he ran into some trouble and wound up on the infield grass. So Pastriak right now is in 15th place.
Melissa Fifield on and off pit lane as we continue to keep an eye on the battle mid-pack. We've got the 64 of Robbie Summers getting sideways in the high lane of the racetrack. That allows Sammy Rainbow to get through. Kyle Soper gets through. Now Doug Colby, he's trying to follow them through in the bottom of the 2 car. He gets by both Summers and Blake Barney pretty quickly, but he's still behind Kyle Soper, now to the back straightaway. Colby looking inside in turn 3.
And Colby bounces underneath that 95 of Soper, and this time he might have found the solution as he is able to scamper his way underneath the 95. Let's see if he can clear him, and he will be able to do it. So Doug Colby now moves up into 18th place.
And Colby working his way through the field, still not in position to win the championship here just yet. Still 35 laps in, a long way to go. But he's got to get out of this stuff if he wants to be able to move forward and have that track position. He's got to carve his way through the field pretty quickly. Finally gets underneath Sammy Rainbow on the back straightaway. And Colby will be able to dispatch him. And then he's got Tyler Rivkema right ahead of him in that white and black number 32. He'll continue to run on the bottom side of the racetrack and try to make the inside lane work as he continues his march now inside the top 20.
If he can get by Rivkema, and it looks like he does, he is 16th. The magic number for Doug Colby is 14th. 14th or better, and he will put a grip on the championship. So he needs to get 2 more positions, and then he can breathe a sigh of relief. Right now, breathing heavy is Justin Bonsignor. He's been the dominant factor, and Bobby Santos has been keeping him honest. Pastriak is on a mission, and now he moves near Anthony Nocella. That will be a fight for the top 13.
Keep an eye on that battle side by side. Meanwhile, trouble down in turn number 1. Smoke everywhere. A couple of cars involved.
Colby able to get through it.
So Colby gets through. It's the 92 car of Anthony Nocella who went around, and boy, went up in a big plume of smoke getting down into turn number 1.
Nocella was 13th, and Colby was able to get to the bottom and avoid what would have been a disaster.
So the 92 of Anthony Nocella up into the outside wall up there in turn 1. Safety vehicles making their way to the scene. We're 39 laps in, 3rd caution of the race so far. And Justin Bonsignor doing what he needs to do out in front in that 51 car, trying to control the race to the best of his ability. And Bobby Santos looking really good in that brand new untested chassis in 2nd. We got to give a tip of the cap to Woody Pitkat. He's had up and down years in Whelen Modified Tour competition. And right now, he's teamed up with Eddie Harvey in this 1 car, and he looks pretty quick, having a solid run here in 3rd.
A lot of drivers have been in that car this year, including Burt Myers and Jeff Rocco, but now it belongs to Woody Pitkat, and he has maneuvered his way into the top 3. 1 win this year at Wall Stadium. Now, the pits might be opening up this time around, and we'll see if there is any strategy I think on lap number 40, the only cars that will be coming in are the ones that aren't feeling right to their drivers. So the green flag is out on pit road, and we'll see if anybody makes a detour and goes on the safety road.
Probably not expecting
Not the top front runners, but somebody might try to be getting better here.
Wouldn't expect to see a lot of the guys out front run. You probably want to come in for tires somewhere around lap 80, lap 90, unless you're trying to work a different strategy like you saw Glenn Reen do a couple of years ago and went on to win the race, and it worked for him. We see a couple of the teams that were running outside the top 15 or so come down pit lane for service here. By the way, Anthony Nocella did climb from that number 92 car and was able to get out of the race car, so good news for Anthony Nocella. But Pete, down on pit road, we got a couple of cars with some adjustments here and even some tires, including Blake Barney, Calvin Carroll, and Robbie Summers. Summers getting right side work being done on his machine. Right rear tire change for Blake Barney. Same thing for Calvin Carroll. Pete's very active pit road here under this caution.
Yeah, the standard stop for most of these guys right now with Rob Summers, as you said, right side tires. He's down and away. Not happy that he had a couple of other cars get out before him as he peels right out of his. But again, just standard service for these cars that came in.
Not surprising, Pete, to see right rear tires go on these cars, Matt. We saw how loose they were getting up off turn number 4 coming to us on the front straightaway. The car's jumping out sideways like that. You're going to burn that right rear tire off quite a bit. You're going to burn it off pretty quickly if your car is too loose. So they'll come in, make some adjustments, try to adapt to the weather here, and get new right rear tires on these race cars. A couple more cars coming down pit lane for adjustments, but we still stay under the caution flag while cleanup continues up in turns 1 and 2.
So it was just a one tire change for Summers. So he has a couple more in the bank. And Justin Bonsignor, he has led I think he took the lead on lap number 4. So he has been out in front for a long time. And you get one bonus point if you lead the most laps. And I think Bonsignor is counting on that as he tries to pull the rug out from under Doug Colby. Doug Colby, according to our scoring, is 15th. So all he has to do is pass one more car, and he will be in the comfort zone. If he is in the top 14, he will be untouchable as far as Justin Bonsignor is concerned. So a pretty good comeback by Colby. Maybe a couple of scary moments, but he has made his way from 29th when he came out onto the track. Right now, we are going to go to Pete Falcone and see what's happening on pit road.
We're down here beside the number 92 out of the race. Anthony Nocella is right here. And Anthony, after a big win last weekend at Lee Speedway with the Modified Racing Series, unfortunately, you're out a little early today.
Yeah, kind of tough one there. I mean, practiced real good right up front and struggled a little bit in qualifying. Then we had a real good car there in the race, just kind of trying to buy our time. They had a little tire change, and I think we were going to be awesome there. And just unlucky they kind of blew the motor up getting down the end of the front stretch and just went around in our own oil.
Tough way to end the season.
Yeah, definitely. Kind of would have been nice to run good and had a decent run going.
Anthony Nocella is out early and obviously disappointed. He felt that he had a good car and had the strategy all set, but unfortunately the engine lets go at the end of the front straightaway.
So we are almost ready to go back to work, as it is amazing that the track didn't show the effects from the blown motor of Anthony Nocella, as we already had oil on the track earlier today prior to the start of the super modified race. So it is Bonsignor, who was third fastest in time trialing yesterday, took the lead early. Santos has been there with him to make sure he doesn't get lonely. And then we have Woody Pitcat, and I think a lot of people were surprised how good that number 1 car has been this weekend. It will be Byfield to take the lucky dog, so she will get one of her laps back. And right now, it looks like we have 31 out of the 40 cars that started are on the lead lap.
Safety services team just working along the front straightaway a moment ago, and down into turn number 1, we saw some of the speedy dry that was laid down on the racetrack after Anthony Nocella's car went up in smoke. You see a lot of smoke like that. A lot of times the oil comes out and just burns up on the headers, doesn't get too much onto the racetrack. The oil wasn't too bad out here on the track, and as a result, be a pretty quick cleanup here, get this oil scraped off. Not too much speedy dry on the track, and the reason why I say that being important is you're right in the restart zone, Matt, where we've got all these modifieds on track. They're all coming up through the gears. You grab a gear, it's like driving on ice when you got speedy dry out there, so you've got to be careful. So they're going to go ahead and make sure they get the track blown off, that it's race ready. We get back underway here, just 45 laps in to the Sunoco 150. Just to remind you, race fans, just because the racing action concludes here today at the Oval at Thompson Speedway, keep in mind, we're back at it November 1st, 2nd, and 3rd for the 48th annual Don Honing's Original Flea Market and Swap Meet. Northeast's largest automotive flea market, over 1,500 vendors scattered around Thompson Speedway Motorsports Park. It's a rain or shine event, Saturday and Sunday, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. And so if you've got things in your garage you want to clear out, now's the opportunity. If you're looking for that hard-to-find part, guess what? Now's the opportunity. I'm a classic car guy myself, and the car that I enjoy playing with is an Oldsmobile, and it's hard to find Oldsmobile parts. Chevys, you can find them all over the place. Fords, no problem. But when you start getting into some of the other stuff, you need to come to a swap meet like this to be able to find those hard-to-find emblems, parts, engine components, decals, whatever the case may be, body components, bumpers, whatever it is. You can find it at a place like Thompson Speedway here, November 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, Don Honing's Flea Market and Swap Meet.
So we are getting almost ready to resume. Now, Doug Colby, he has to get into the top 14. He is 15th. The car immediately in front of him is a rookie, Dylan Slepian. So I think that Colby is going to be on the move early, get by the rookie, somebody that he really is not familiar with. And then when he gets by him, he'll be with guys that he knows, like Chris Pastriak. So I think we can look at Colby to erupt early to try to get by the 70 car as quickly as he can, because he doesn't know what to expect from him.
Field rolls up off turn number 2. Lights are out atop the pace car, means we'll go racing next time through. There'll be 48 laps complete when we get the green flag. The race leader continues to be Justin Bonsignor on the outside. He's the controlled car on the restart. He's got to be the guy that decides when the race starts within the restart zone. And that's the cone that's on the front straightaway on the wall just as they come off turn number 4. That's where Bonsignor can fire, somewhere in the vicinity of that marker as they come up off turn number 4. Bob Slade atop the flag stand gives him the green flag. Justin Bonsignor off and running a near perfect start. He'll lead him down to turn 1.
Yeah, might have got a helping hand from Craig Lutz. And now Lutz moves into second, gets by Santos. Here comes Salamito. He moves into third. What will Lutz do as he looks for racing room down low against Bonsignor, who is holding him off for the time being?
There's the battle now for the race lead, settling down for a moment. Bobby Santos is on the front row. He's now slid back to the 5th spot, right in front of the machine who's running in the 6th spot at the moment, and that is in the form of Ronnie Silk. On the back straightaway they go, side by side behind them, and Swanson working the inside lane, trying to pick up more ground.
And here is Colby trying to get by the 70. He is having a hard time doing that. Now he's working against Joey Bucciacharo, and Colby clears the 47, going after the 70. And it is Colby dead even with Derek Seppian. And Colby, did he make it to the top 14? He did. So he is where he needs to be in order to rack up a championship.
Dylan Slepian, no slouch, experienced young driver. Former winner of the Iceland 300 a few years back. Riverhead Raceway, Long Island. Taking a stab at it here in the Wheeler Modified Tour at Thompson. And he now is starting to fall back a little bit. Doug Colby gets on through. Colby's got a fast race car. He's now working to the inside of Andrew Krause, trying to pick up 13 here on the back straightaway.
Well, he wasn't faster than Andrew Krause yesterday. Let's see what today brings. A pretty good move underneath by Colby. got a good bite coming off the turn, and he puts it to use, and he's trying to laser beam underneath Kraus. Kraus is a tough customer.
Kraus is good. We talked about it. 7 in the Bud 150. Up front, pressure in the form of Craig Lutz. Justin Bonsignor leads the way. Craig Lutz, he's got the confidence in that first win at one of the biggest races on the Whelen Modified Tour schedule. And that's the fall final at Stafford Speedway. And Craig Lutz is putting on the heat. Bonsignor holding on to the top spot, but maybe not for long because Lutz is there.
And Lutz has led a lot of laps this season at Thompson, trying to lead now. Lap 55. But Bonsignor has too much energy. It is Hitcat leading the next group. Kobe has gotten by Chuck Costco. So Doug Kobe now is climbed into 11th place.
Battle just outside the top 2. Pretty racy as well. Sidney Salamito trying to hold off Bobby Santos. Santos, remember, fell back to fifth on the start. He's trying to make up the lost ground. Meanwhile, trouble, turn 2. Andrew Kraus in the 75 car. Chris Pastriak getting together. Caution flag is out. For the 4th time, it's Chris Pastriak pointing the wrong direction in the 75 car. Andrew Kraus, the pole sitter, pointing the right direction, but not where he wants to be.
Yeah, Pastriak can see the whites of Kraus's eyes as the second incident for the 75 of Chris Pastriak, and this one finds him embedded into the wall between turns 1 and 2. So the amazing development, Doug Kobe, after being demoted to 29th place, is now in 11th. So he is in the comfort zone. So is Justin Bonsignor. He does what he has to do, and that is to get the win, because with the win comes 3 extra points. It's 43 points for a victory. Then you get 3 points added for the win. You get 1 point for leading a lap, and you get 1 point for leading the most laps. And I think Justin Bonsignor not only has to win, he wants to max out and get all 48 points.
Wrecker starting to move in to see if they can hook those 2 cars off the racetrack in turns 1 and 2. Lots of damage on the left front, the 24 for Andrew Kraus. Front bumper is nearly torn off the 75 machine of Chris Pastriak. Both drivers about set to get out of their race cars. Not as of yet, but they're in the process of unbuckling. Andrew Kraus taking the helmet off, getting ready to come out of his car. Chris Pastriak climbing out of car number 75, certainly discouraged after winning the pole last time out at Stafford Speedway in the fall final. But they, in their days, got a little bit more challenging for those 2 teams. Up front, though, Matt, the guy sitting in the 2nd spot, Craig Lutz, interesting story behind him, because we talked about him earlier, and we had a chance to talk with him during our pre-race Q&A session before we got underway with opening ceremonies in the racing here today. Craig Lutz in that 46 car came out of Miller Place, New York, but early in his career made a decision to race in Connecticut, because Connecticut was the heart of modified country, Matt. And you, working the Waterford Speed Bowl, got to know Craig pretty well, and you got to know his talents behind the wheel as a driver. And now, many years later, he's becoming a rising star in the Whelen Modified Tour.
Now, the first time I saw Craig Lutz, it was right here in a practice session in March, early in the season, and I think it was the coldest day I ever spent at Thompson. And there was Craig Lutz and his dad trying out Thompson Speedway. So he sampled both Thompson and Stafford, and then became a regular at Waterford. And the one thing about him, when he ran at Waterford, instantly in his career, he was always better in the long races, the 100 lappers, than he was in the basic 35. So his mentality was suited for extra distance races. So that's why I think it was a no-brainer that he and his dad decided to go to the modified tour, because he is a distance driver, and I think he proved it 2 weeks ago at Stafford. And with a couple of breaks, he could have got a couple of wins here at Thompson this year.
And they did it on their own for a while. They had the family car. Remember, a couple of years ago, it was a red 56. They ran that car for a period of time. Then the opportunity opened up in Jeff Goodale's number 46 machine, and Craig Lutz got behind the wheel, and the magic was there right away. And it's interesting how things come together, because early in Craig Lutz's career, when he was younger, he raced go-karts. And he raced go-karts for the guy by the name of Doug Ojeko, who's his crew chief here today. The reason why Doug started driving, he says, I got too big. I'm 220 pounds. I couldn't race the go-karts anymore. I tapped Craig Lutz because he was a talent. They worked together then as a driver crew chief. Fast forward several years, they work together now at one of the biggest stages in modified racing in Northeast competition here at the Whelen Modified Tour. Craig Lutz, Doug Ojeko are a good pair now. From go-karts to Whelen Modified Tour competition, those two guys working together, getting wins. They're on the front row, and they've got a really quick race car here approaching the halfway point, showing that last week's win is not a fluke. This team here around to stay, gaining a lot of respect among the Whelen Modified Tour teams.
And what enabled Lutz to get that win 2 weeks ago is still on restarts. So he'll try to use that weapon against Justin Bonsignor, as when they hit the line, we will be on lap number 62. Doug Kobe starting on the outside of row number 6 in 11th. So we'll see how cautiously or how aggressively Kobe chooses to play it now that he is inside the top 14.
Field comes up off turn number 4. Green flag displayed. And another good start by Craig Lutz. Good work on the bottom lane. Justin Bonsignor on us. They get down to turn number 1. Bonsignor's got the top spot, but here comes Lutz digging on the inside lane.
And digging along with him, Timmy Salamito in car number 16. The natural swoops off of turn number 4. Can Salamito get into second? Yes, he can. And Silk is trying to follow his example.
Salamito is a man on a mission today. He's driving not only for the win today, but he's driving for a chance to drive next year. He's still looking for a ride. This is his job interview today. Car number 16 riding there in the second spot, haunting the Huntsville, New York driver, Justin Bonsignor, who's out in front.
So this is an audition for Timmy Salamito, as well as trying to get a win. And now he drops back a bit, opening the door for Ron Silk. Here comes Silk, as he is able to bullet his way into second underneath Salamito. Lutz settles into 4th, Tiscat 5th. What about Doug Kobe? He has moved up to the top 10.
Working on the inside lane of the 58 of Eric Goodale on the back straightaway. It's a side-by-side battle for the moment, but Kobe has to roll trouble. It's Kyle Bonsignor who goes around in turn 3, collects the Calvin Carroll number 25. Caution flag is out. Everybody continues on, but the 25 car has got the right front knocked off of it, as turn number 3 continues to be the tough spot here today. Caution flag is out, 66 laps in, and Calvin Carroll's number 25 is stopped on the front stretch.
Right front tire, the issue for the 25, as that car is in distress. Bonsignor was up on the top, and then he just slid down to the bottom, and Carroll was there, and there was nothing that the 25 could do. Can't call for a fair catch in auto racing, and our safety crew immediately making sure that Calvin Carroll is okay, a former Rookie of the Year. So the wrecker is called into duty. I think the star of that last green flag exchange was Ron Silk, as he was able to find a way underneath Salamito and get into second. And Ron Silk, he still has a lot to shoot for, so he would like to end the season with a victory. As about 3 or 4 years, we didn't even hear of Ron Silk very often. His career was kind of on hold, and then he started to win races again. He won a big race at Waterford in the 82 car, which was owned by Danny Watts, and then he continued to move up the ladder, won tri-track races, and this year I think he caught everybody by surprise, taking that 85 car and winning at Loudon and winning at Stafford. So it's been a comeback season for Ron Silk, and he really didn't go anywhere. He just was out of the limelight.
Kevin Stewart is the owner for that team in car number 85. They always campaigned those purple and yellow cars that they ran on the Modified Racing Series, and they dabbled here and there with some different drivers. on Whelen Modified Tour races. We'll finish this story in a minute. Let's go back down to pit lane and Pete Falcone.
Yeah, we'll go back to the previous caution. I'm with Chris Pastriak, and a tough break for you after a great race at Stafford, coming in here with a lot of hope, I bet.
Yeah, we kind of got a little racing incident early. We ended up in the back, and I was alongside the 24, and I don't know, he hopped up on the right rear nerf bar, and when he came down, I overcorrected, I guess. So he's junked now. We'll get it fixed for next year. Give it a shot.
Ended season for sure. Disappointed Chris Pastriak. Damage pretty heavy to the front end of this car.
Well, thank you, Pete. We'll talk more about Ronnie Silk a little bit later on in the race, but this 85 car was destroyed in the Musket 250 up at Thompson, or at New Hampshire, I should say. They had to put a front clip on it, a rear clip on it. When it came here, it hadn't yet been tested. They had built this car new for that race in September, got it put together, and boy, you wonder sometimes when a car gets wrecked that bad at a racetrack that big, whether or not you can put it back together the first time and put it back right. And they did. This car came prepared. It looks pretty racy. Already a multi-time event winner here at this racetrack is Ronnie Silk in that 85. He's got a knack for this racetrack, and he's out in the front row.
And let's see what kind of bite he can get. Great getaway from Monsignor. Trying to got shoved from behind by Craig Lutz. Monsignor resumes his reign at the lead. Here comes Lutz. Lutz is back into second.
Powers his way into the number 2 spot. That moves Ronnie Silk back to third. Working the inside lane, Salamito. And here comes crack at the top 5. Matt Swanson. Swanson races his way around Salamito on the outside lane, but Salamito sticks the nose underneath in turn 2.
And here is Swanson as he is able to blur his way into the top 4. And try now. Kobe has gotten by Goodale, and he is now in 9th. So Kobe marching up toward the front. Lutz trying to give Monsignor something to think about. And the driver losing momentum right now is Bobby Santos in the 36.
Backpedaling on the inside lane, but not to worry. That's Santos' strategy. Stay inside the top 5 or 10 and let the race come to you. Track conditions are changing quite a bit. Behind them, here's Doug Kobe. This time he's working the outside lane, trying to protect a spot away from Eric Goodale. Goodale's been working the bottom, but that's where Doug Kobe is like to be for a majority of this last 30 or 40 laps or so as he's trying to slice his way through the field. They're still side by side coming up off turn 4.
And it is still Goodale. A little bobble coming off of turn number 4, but nothing that harmed him. Making a run in car number 82 is Chase Dowling as he is going after. The 16 is Salamito. Right behind him is Santos. A bold move on the inside from Sammy Ramo in the 06, but he can't reach underneath Tommy Catalano.
A little bit deeper in the field, just behind the battle that we're keeping an eye on here between Doug Kobe and the Goodale machine. Working around the outside lane, the 47 of Joey Muchacharo having a strong run here, now sliding into the 10th spot. Muchacharo was a driver who was involved in that incident that we had with 8 cars up in turn number 3. He was able to get that car moving again without a lot of damage, and he's ahead of Doug Kobe in turn 2.
And now Rob Summers on the outside, giving Kobe a problem. So Kobe has dropped back. He was as high as 11th. Now he is 13th. And Muchacharo trying to take a position away from him. Up at the front, the script remains the same. Monsignor in his hip pocket is Craig Lutz. In third is Silk. But the man with a lot of drama is Doug Kobe. He has lost 3 positions in the last handful of laps, and he does not want to lose any more. He is currently in 11th.
We got a long way to go. Remember, Doug Kobe needs to stay inside the top 14 to win the championship, but here's the trick. We know we'll have a pit stop at some point in time in the race. If Doug Kobe's back in the middle of the pack, when he's coming into his pit stall, chances are somebody could be coming out. You've got to gain track position here. The more position you gain on the racetrack, the easier it's going to be for you to get on and off pit road. And that's what they're thinking about right now. They're not thinking about points. They're not thinking about getting ahead of these guys just because they want to be ahead of them. They're thinking about how they get on and off pit lane cleanly and that they're around drivers that aren't going to impede them on the racetrack. It's part of the strategy that this 2 team is trying to employ right now to say, hey, this is what we've got to do to win the championship. Our next goal is to have a good, clean pit stop.
Well, seeing how Summers and Muchacharo got by him, I think the one thing Kobe is thinking about, fresh tires. I think he might need to reload in that number 2 car. Bonsignor getting a challenge from Lutz. As Lutz, will he make a move on the inside? He is hanging out of the back bumper like an acupuncture needle. Goes down low. Lutz is serious, but not serious enough, and Bonsignor holds him off.
Bonsignor comes across the line here, some 82 laps in, has dominated the race so far, is well on his way to capturing that bonus point for earning the most laps led here today. But Craig Lutz really wants to be aggressive here. You don't see this very often. You don't see Justin Bonsignor over the past 2 seasons get passed under green. Craig Lutz is trying to turn the tide on that. He is on the attack in turn 2.
And he has an alley underneath Bonsignor if he is quick enough to use it, as they are able to whirly-bird their way into turn number 4. And Bonsignor goes very high in the corner to get the momentum, and Lutz is having a lot of difficulty figuring out a way to get by.
Works the bottom off 2, falls back in line. Lap traffic has not come into a big factor here today. You would have thought with 40 cars on track, you might have had more lap traffic for the race leaders to deal with. It hasn't been the case. They've had pretty clear racetrack all day long. Here's Lutz again down to turn number 1. He's got position to the inside of Justin Bonsignor in a bid for the race lead.
He made it close that time before dropping back. He was halfway under the 51 as they are able to blast off the corner. Now moving in is Ron Silk, so we're going to have a 3-way fight for the lead. Matt Swanson has spent a lot of this race underneath the radar screen, but he has emerged in the top 4 trying to gain ground on Silk.
Swanson's a driver. He's got a mission as well for him today. Sits in there in the 4th position. He's trying to finish in the top 5 of the championship points and pack it in for the winner, knowing that they did a good job and had a good campaign this season. But up front, the battle has intensified among the top 3. It's Bonsignor now only about a foot ahead of Craig Lutz. Behind them, it is Ronnie Silk in that 85 machine quickly closing in. And now here comes Swanson even closer here as they work their way off turn number 4 and back to the stripe.
Doug Kobe in 13th. If he loses 2 more positions, he will be out of the comfort zone. So he is going after the back bumper of Joey Mucciacciaro. And right now he's not making any progress. The man who is Justin Bonsignor, he was able to shrug off the threat from Lutz and Ron Silk right there. And Silk, he can conserve that car. He's pretty good at that. Swanson is 4th, and he's up with a pretty big advantage over the 5th place car, Woody Pitcat. 2 brother-in-law running near each other, Woody Pitcat and Bobby Santos. And Robbie Summers is having one of his best runs of the season. And one of the reasons for the improvement, I think, might have been the addition of Kopchik, his crew chief.
Lutz has got a good run this time as he comes up off turn number 4. He was wheel to wheel with Bonsignor getting down into turn number 3. We talked about that lap traffic right ahead. Couldn't come back here. Here's Lutz again, looking inside. Can't do it. Single file on the back straightaway with Ronnie Silk right there in the 85, making it challenging for the top 2.
And Swanson continues to be a player in car number 3 as he is trying to move to the back bumper of Silk. A little daylight between the 51 of Bonsignor and Lutz's car. And now Silk, he can be dangerous. So the top 4 are lighting off all the sparks here. We are approaching the 100 lap mark. So the second half of the race, and we are waiting for the big pit stop to come. I think everybody will be coming in for rubber on the next yellow whenever it takes place. Santos able to get around pole.
I think you're right, Matt. That is going to be the ticket when the next opportunity comes. We'll see everybody down pit lane, but the complexion of the race could change a lot before then because Justin Bonsignor is clicking the laps off very quickly. This could turn into a sprint race, unlike what we've seen in this long green flag run over the past handful of laps. Craig Lutz continuing to try to work the inside lane over Justin Bonsignor. The top 4 now nose to tail through turns 1 and 2. 2 Long Island drivers out front. A guy from Connecticut sits 3rd, and a guy from Massachusetts riding there in the 4th spot, trying to lead this way around. Lutz again, using the apron to the bottom, trying to get underneath Bonsignor.
And now to the outside of Lutz is Silk. So Silk making a charge. And Swanson tried to carve his way to the inside of the 85. Here is Silk. He is plastered to the back bumper of the Lutz car. Every now and then, Lutz makes a serious move on Bonsignor. 3 laps to go before we hit the 50 to go mark. Here is Silk. Got a wheel underneath the 46 of Lutz.
You don't win these races, Matt, by making passes on the last lap because you don't know anything about your opponent. Lutz is studying the game right now. He's understanding where Bonsignor is weak. He's understanding where he is strong. He's trying different lanes. He looks high. He looks low. He protects against Ronnie Silk. Figures out where he can get momentum, just like that run. All those things are calculating in the mind of Craig Lutz. He's a crafty young driver, and he's paying attention to everything he can learn from Justin Bonsignor. Not because it matters on lap 99 or lap 100, because it's going to matter on lap 149 when he's got a chance to go around Bonsignor if the race plays out that way.
Now here is do or die time for Lutz. As Lutz, he is able to crackle his way into the lead on lap number 100. Craig Lutz has the lead with 50 to go.
We talk about being a popular driver in no time. The crowd here at Thompson Speedway, many of them hands up in the air, applauding, cheering as they watch Craig Lutz drive by Justin Bonsignor in a clean pass up there in turn 3. We've got a slow car off turn number 4. It's the J.R. Bertuccio number 12 machine that is stopped on the inside of the racetrack in turn number 4. Will he refire? Will it bring out the caution flag? What will happen here? Race leaders making their way around the racetrack. Caution flag is out. And this is going to be that magical moment we've been keeping an eye on. 46, the race leader of Craig Lutz. Justin Bonsignor is second. Caution flag is out. And Pete Falcone, I hope you got your running sneakers on because it is going to get very busy down there on pit lane. It'll be pit stops coming up this caution period. So stay focused. This is where it's won, but this is where it's lost on pit road.
Now a couple of drivers came in early to change right rears, but nobody really made a wholesale tire change. So I think that stat will change. Craig Lutz will have the lead. Remember, this is when Justin Bonsignor is at his best in these pit stop situations. Out of his 6 wins at Thompson, many of them have taken place because of the efficiency of his crew on pit road. So that is the one strength that Bonsignor has that Lutz and Silk can't do anything about.
Well, 25 cars on the lead lap means it's going to be a very full pit road. With a full field of cars, every pit stall is filled, and not many cars have really fallen out of the race so far. We had a couple of cars that have had problems because of the crashes, but there's a lot of cars still on track, which means pit road can get very, very busy here today. So strategy is going to be key. Into your pit stop, hit your marks, get your 4 tires, maybe only take 3 tires. You can do that in modifieds. You don't always have to replace that left front tire. It doesn't get a lot of abuse in these cars. And go ahead and send yourself back out onto the racetrack. Keep an eye on turn number 3. That green flag is waving by our NASCAR official on the infield. That means pit road is open, and the game is now turning to pit lane. Craig Lutz will lead him down. Justin Bonsignor, Ronnie Silk, Matt Swanson. Keep an eye on the 51 running second, and the 2 car of Doug Coby deep in the field. The championship could be decided on this round of pit stops. Let's go back down to pit lane and Pete Falcone.
All right, here they come. The race down onto pit road. Craig Lutz is able to pull away and get into his spot. Here is the 85 of Silk right in front of us, and the 51 of Justin Bonsignor. Looks like standard stop for most of these guys. Now, Doug Coby's got to squeeze between these two, and does. He's got to get in out of the way and within his pit box so as to not block anybody else. But again, the service is going on with all of these cars. Bonsignor, a quick stop with the work on the right side. Same for Silk right here, a change of tires. They come down, they'll push him off. Bonsignor a little slow to get out of his spot, but the 80, he's able to beat the 85 out. As far as the rest of the field, we're going to double check with Dave Barabal as he went down to look at some of the cars that were just running outside of the top 3, and he'll give us the report in just a moment.
But that was a bad stop for a long stop for Craig Lutz as he came out after all of the front runners. And Justin Bonsignor is able to get the battle won again on pit road. We'll go to Dave Barabal.
Exactly, Matt. I was right there with the Craig Lutz team. 3-tire change. They were very upset over the way that pit stop went. Got their driver out as quick as they can. But, as I said, they were very upset over the way that pit stop played out.
Wow, Craig Lutz came in, the race leader. He goes back out onto the racetrack, was the 13th car off pit lane. So Craig Lutz in the 46 will be deep when we go back under the green flag. But as they have done for the last 2 seasons, Justin Bonsignor and this team doing what they have to do on pit road. Clean in, clean out, 3 tires, and down and away. Good stop for Ryan Stone's team. And Justin Bonsignor in that 51 car, they get him back out. Will be the first car off of pit lane. Ronnie Silk and his team get off pit road second. How about Eric Goodale? Bit of pit strategy on that 58. They shortened up their strategy a little bit. Took only 2 tires, came out in the 3rd spot, along with Matt Swanson and Timmy Salamito, all taking tires here under this round of pit stops that would set us up for the finish of the Sunoco 150.
Now, Doug Colby came in 13th, and he comes out in 11th. So, Doug Colby, the best thing for him, he survived that stop. He really wasn't like Bonsignor trying to pick up some position. All he wanted to do is come out pretty much where he was before the stop, and he did. And he came out ahead of Craig Lutz, who was 13th. So that was a disaster for the 46 team. They came in first and came out 13th.
We got a chance to look at it in the replay here that they offer from the TV broadcast, Matt. They dropped a handful of lug nuts in the right front tire changer. They were trying to put them on the studs by hand, and that's what slowed them down. So they had a long stop in the right front, then they had to go around, change the other sides. Craig Lutz losing a lot of track position here. Green flag about set to come back out here. We've got 107 laps on the scoreboard, 43 laps to go. They're back in turn 1.
Ron Silk trying to move into the lead. He does. Clearing the 51. Bonsignor, slingshot move. Crossover for Bonsignor. He is back in the penthouse.
Bonsignor knows this is when the championship is won. He's got to get out in front and control the race. He leads back to the line this time by. Ronnie Silk settles back into the 2nd spot. Matt Swanson is 3rd.
And he is trying to get close to Ron Silk. Santos is 4th. Goodale making a move on Chase Dowling. So here is the Wolverine, Eric Goodale. Not enough energy to track down the 82 of Dowling. Summers, one of his best runs of the year, right behind the 82.
Working the outside lane is Robbie Summers. He was a car that was on and off pit road a lot in the early part of the race. Now that strategy starting to pay off. He gets by around the outside of Eric Goodale, trying to bring Woody Pitcat right along with him up there in the high groove. Where is Doug Colby right now? He's in position to win the championship, but he doesn't have a lot of room. He's in 10th at the moment, Matt. Anything can happen in the late stages of these ones, so he's going to try to continue to gain ground and march forward.
Well, his key is very simple. Don't let anybody pass you. Trouble, turn 4. As the car skids around, and a pretty good recovery. It looked like there was going to be pandemonium in turn number 4, and it never developed.
Chuck Hosfeld, one of the cars involved there off turn number 4. Everybody scampers away. There's a lot of cars slowed to a near stop, but somehow everybody kept moving to stay under the green flag. Back to turn 1. Justin Bonsignor is the race leader. This time a new challenger, though. Ronnie Silk is there.
And Ron Silk has the experience to figure out a way to get by the 51 of Bonsignor. Swanson has lost some ground to our front runner. He is 3rd, followed by Santos and Dowling. And Doug Colby continues to be in the comfort zone for him. He is right behind Salamito in the top 10. And behind Colby, he's got a pretty good gap separating him and Craig Lutz. But we know Craig Lutz is pretty fast. We'll see if he can catch up to the 2 car.
The question is what Doug Colby does here. Odd number start on the inside, even number start on the outside on restarts, and Colby made it very clear. He wants the bottom in the late stages of the race, so if a problem happens on a restart, he can turn left and he can get out of the way. If you're on the outside lane, you can't do that. You've got nowhere to go. So Colby is in 10th right now. He wants to get by Salamito and get into an odd number position on the racetrack, so he's going to be in the right spot on the restart. So here he comes off turn number 2. Looking to the inside on the back straightaway. Salamito, 16, running high in turn 3.
And that opens up room for Colby underneath him. Let's see what he does when they get to turn number 1. Here is Kobe, and he will lightning bolt his way underneath Salamito. They are dead even. Paperclip together as they head for the third corner.
Down the back straightaway, wheel to wheel, the battle for the 9th spot. Salamito with a slight edge as they get into the banking. But Kobe is right there with him as Salamito gets a little loose off the turn. Kobe's able to take advantage, nose it out in front, but he can't quite complete the pass in turn 2.
And he does it on the backstretch. So Kobe is in 9th. It is Eric Goodale right in front of him. And the plot thickens at the front of the field between Bonsignor and Ron Silk. As Ron Silk looking for some fight underneath that 51 car. And they have pulled away from Matt Swanson in car number 3.
Ron Silk not afraid to be aggressive with Justin Bonsignor. He wants to win as badly as anybody else. He may have had a 2-win season this year. That's okay. He wants to get a hat trick. He wants 3. He is all over the back bumper of Justin Bonsignor. A lap or 2 ago, he even got into Bonsignor on the back straightaway. Knows that Bonsignor's got a championship on the line. He's a champion in his own right, but he has still got a job to do. And that's to get that 85 car in victory lane.
You know, Joe, I think it might be a little too early for Silk, as he has one of the best finishing kits on the tour. So he might be biding his time. 30 laps to go. Bonsignor out in front. He has clinched the award for winning the most laps. So Bonsignor can max out if he gets the win.
Bonsignor is much better in turns 1 and 2 than Ronnie Silk is when they're not working around lap traffic. When you get down to turn 3 and 4, and Ronnie Silk's got a bit of an edge as he works through the center of the turn off. Watch him here. He'll gain on Justin Bonsignor up off the turn and close that gap ever so slightly when they come back down to the stripe. They've got some open track to work with. We'll see if that allows Ronnie Silk to put more pressure back on the 51.
And Swanson continues to run in third. Doug Kobe continues to run in the top 9. And now Goodale going to work against Woody Titcat down low. And he gets underneath the 1 car. So Titcat continues to be a top 7 car. The top 1, Justin Bonsignor. And he has a little bit of a cushion between himself and Ron Silk.
And I think if you're Doug Kobe again, if you can't get too fast and straight and go from 9th to 7th, you're probably going to stay right where you are in 9th because it's more valuable to be in that odd number position for him based on his strategy that he dictated at the start of the race. So he backs off a little bit. He rolls behind. Remember that 26 of Gary McDonald? They made contact early in the race with Doug Kobe. He rolls back behind and lets Eric Goodale and Woody Titcat fight it out for the position directly ahead and knows that he's got plenty of pad. He's got 5 positions to the good, and he's also got a lot of clear racetrack that they do as we do.
And he has a pretty good margin over Craig Lutz, who was in 10th. So Doug Kobe doesn't want to lay back too much, or he could be passed and wind up in an even number position. But right now, he looks pretty healthy as he gets by one of the slower cars. That is Elwood in the 38. And Doug Kobe, it isn't easy street yet. He still has 22 laps to go. And it is nerve-wracking for Kobe. Up at the front, Bonsignor has about a bit of a cushion by a pitchfork over the 85 of Silk. So if Silk is going to make a move, I still think he is capable of one. And he might be waiting until inside 10 laps to go. That's when Silk usually does his best work.
Silk's a veteran. Been there and done that. Knows how to win at this racetrack and knows what it takes. Very, very smart driver. He's been on his A game all season long. Was in the championship hunt until just a few races ago. Wants to spoil the fun from Justin Bonsignor. Now come back to the line this time by. We'll see 20 laps to go in the Sunoco 150. We've got more racing action still yet to come. 4 feature events on the docket here today to wrap up the 2019 racing season. But right now, all attention is on these drivers. The Whelen Modified Tour as they wrap up the final 20 laps of their season.
And Ron Silk continues to trail Bonsignor. And when will he get serious? Doug Kobe, he is continuing to have a great run. The man right behind him is Chase Dowling. So Kobe has moved up to 8th. That's an even position. And let's see if he does something about that by going after the combination of Goodale and Summers.
Yeah, Kobe got up to 8th as Chase Dowling was backing up. I don't think he was really going after the position, but Dowling was there for the taking, so he knew he had to take advantage. Now he knows how aggressive he needs to be to make sure he can get into the 7th spot. Already, Eric Goodale is opening up the lane, doing the hard work. That allows Doug Kobe to slide in underneath and try to make a pass on the 64 of Robbie Summers. So here's Kobe now moving up towards 7th if he can complete the pass off turn 4.
Oh, a little bobble by Goodale coming off the 4th corner. He was the offensive guard, and Kobe was the running back to take advantage of the hole that Goodale created. So Kobe is 7th. Remember, he was as far back as 29th before making his charge up to the front. Bonsignor continues to have the same distance lead that he did over Selk that he's had for the last handful of laps. We are coming to 15 laps left in the Whelen Modified Course season. Justin Bonsignor looking for his 6th win of the year. He will have the most wins this year, but will he have the most points? As long as Doug Kobe stays where he is, it will be Kobe's championship.
Into turn number 3, you've got Justin Bonsignor. He's battling with some lap traffic here along the way. He's got Chuck Hosfeld, the veteran driver, right ahead. Still some of the others that they've got to work their way through. Meanwhile, Doug Kobe, it's not over yet. 14 laps is a long way to go. There's a lot of racing right in front of him. He's got to be careful here. They're side by side in front. Woody Pitcat, Eric Goodale battling for a spot because they want to end their season strong. And Doug Kobe's sitting there right behind, watching it all develop in front.
And with 23 cars on the lead lap, it is by far a done deal for Doug Kobe because we have seen caught twists before. Kobe gets by Wade Cole, his car who is not on the lead lap. And Bonsignor wants to finish his season in victory lane. He has extended his lead over Ron Silk. So Bonsignor getting quicker in car number 51. As now he has plenty of daylight between himself and Silk. One of the stars of the show, Matt Swanson, running in the number 3 position. So car number 3, Old Blue, having a great run. Then it is Bobby Santos in the 36th. And rounding out the top 5, Woody Pitcat. Bonsignor getting closer to a season-ending win. And Kobe getting closer to a championship.
Bonsignor has had a banner year. If it wasn't for a couple of DNFs and a rough finish early in the season, Bonsignor would probably be the guy holding the trophy. But this year, Doug Kobe, he had 4 wins, was very successful, didn't have too many bad races, only 2 races where he finished outside the top 10. And that consistency was enough to make up for the fact that Bonsignor was knocking down wins. It was traditionally the faster car on the racetrack all year long. But they look at the entire season, not just one stretch of it. And Justin Bonsignor got a victory in the win column. He had more than Kobe. But as the season winds down with 8 laps to go, it was the beginning of the season that made the difference in the championship chase between Kobe and Bonsignor.
8 laps to go, separating Doug Kobe in championship number 6. Bonsignor stretching things out against Silk. So that number 51 car, no problems, and he has clear racetrack for a while before he gets to John Beatty. So that is good news for Bonsignor as he is almost in solitary confinement at the front of the field as he is pulled away from Silk and is not close enough to Beatty to cause any worries.
Off the turn they come, this time by 6 laps to go for Justin Bonsignor, looking for win number 6 on the season. To the back straightaway, got clear racetrack ahead of him. Shouldn't be too many lap cars he's going to have to deal with before the end of this one. Good solid day for Matt Swanson, riding there in the 3rd spot. Had a pretty good day, quiet, been inside the top 5. He'll finish inside the top 5 in the championship this season. Tipping the cap to that team. A lot of growth for Matt Swanson as a driver now. Another year full-time on tour. A good season for him. You see the 36 there. Bobby Santos earning a part-time ride with the team next year. We'll see Dave Zappienza in that car in the 2020 campaign. Had another solid run today. He'll finish inside the top 5 most likely, running 4th here with 3 laps to go.
But the driver with the swagger is Doug Kobe, car number 2, as he is getting ready to celebrate. However, it is not a done deal. There are still 3 laps to go in the season. And Silk, he is pretty far back off the pace. So it's Bonsignor. He is a rocket in turn number 3. And Doug Kobe, he is ready to claim the win in the war in turn number 4. 2 champions going to work. Justin Bonsignor at the lead and Doug Kobe in 7th place.
Bonsignor down the back straightaway. No pressure from behind in the form of Ronnie Silk. Dives into turn number 3. White flag is out, this time for Justin Bonsignor. Ryan Stone and the entire team. Ken Massa, Phoenix Communications, put up one heck of a fight here in the 2019 season. They'll have a 6-win season if Bonsignor can make it around this time by and capture the checkered flag. Down into turn number 3 for the final time. Bonsignor works it up through the banking. He'll come off turn number 4. The Sunoco checker is in the air. Justin Bonsignor wins the Sunoco World Series of Speedway Racing. But here comes Doug Kobe off turn number 4 to win his 6th career Whelen Modified Tour champion, becoming 2nd on the all-time list, getting ahead of Tony Hirschman and falling 2nd in line behind the late Mike Stefanik as Justin Bonsignor has won the race, but Doug Kobe has won another championship.
I think the number 6 is in order. 6 wins this season for Justin Bonsignor, but 6 championships for Doug Kobe. Let's quickly run down the top-to-bottom finish. Justin Bonsignor, the winner. Ron Silk, 2nd. Matt Swanson, 3rd. Bobby Santos, 4th. Woody Pitcat, 5th. Eric Goodale, 6th. Doug Kobe, 7th. Chase Dowling finishing in the number 8 position. And we see Bonsignor already started his victory party in car number 51. And 9th was, well, we will have to wait on that lineup. It is Dowling in 8th, Summers 9th. Timmy Salamito was 10th. 11th, Tommy Catalano. 12th, Craig Lutz. 13th, Kyle Soper. 14th, Emmy Ramo. And Joe Koss has gone down to Critical Signs Victory Lane, not only to talk to our race champion, but the season champion. In 15th was Kyle Bonsignor. J.B. Fortin, 16th. Blake Barney was 17th. 18th, Tom Rogers. 19th was Dylan Slippian. 20th, Chuck Hosfeld. 21st, Andrew Moeller. 22nd, Joey Mosicato. 23rd, Kyle Elwood. 24th, Max Zackham. And that is the, in 25th, it was John Beatty. Wade Cole, 26th. Tyler Ripkemum, 27th. 28th, J.R. Bertuccio. 29th, Melissa Fifield. And 30th, Calvin Caro. Let's go to Joe Koss in Victory Lane.
Yeah, right out of his race car, Matt Swanson came home in the 3rd place today. Matt, good solid run. The job was to finish inside the top 5 in championship points. You got the job done with a podium finish.
Yeah, it feels really good. You know, we've had a lot of strong momentum going these last couple races. These BRE guys haven't given up, and we've been bringing better race cars to the racetrack every week. And I just can't thank Cape Cod Copper, Logic, USNE, Wow Media, Mr. Saravallo, Dickie Doo Saravallo, you know, Robert Yates Racing Engines, Bob Bruneau Engines for the horsepower, Brandon Ernest for the shocks, just everyone that puts so much into this car. It means a lot, and to be running up front with a home-built car with all these cars that are being bought feels really good.
One of the smaller teams getting it done here. Congratulations on a top 3.
Thank you.
That's Matt Swanson, came home in the 3rd place here today. A guy that gave Justin Bonsignor one heck of a drive there at the end of it was Ronnie Silk. Ronnie, runner-up finish. You were so quick with about 20 laps to go, but at the end, what happened as the car began to fade?
Yeah, I mean, we were really good there at the end. We just got a little bit too free and kind of enabled the 51 to just slowly drive away from us there towards the end. I thought halfway through that run, I got to his bumper and had a couple looks at him and thought maybe I could do something with him, but they were just a little bit better off than we were at the end. But congratulations to those guys on the win. Congratulations to the 2 team on their championship. And we'll be back and ready to get them again next year.
Certainly a good season for the 85 team in Ronnie Silk as well. This team looking very, very strong and poised to do good things in 2020. Matt, we'll send it back upstairs with you. Derek Pernissiglio from NBC Sports will talk with our winner, Justin Bonsignor. But race fans, when he gets out of the car, give him a big Thompson Speedway welcome, and then we'll hear from our winner once he's done with his TV obligations.
So Justin Bonsignor will be ready to celebrate his 6th win, his 3rd in 4 races at Thompson. So you talk about a driver's favorite track, it has to be Thompson, because he has won 7 out of the last 8 races here, and he has won them in a variety of fashions, but this time he was able to just dominate. And once again, he was second heading into the pit stop, and his crew got him out in first, and Ron Silk made one move, but then it was all Justin Bonsignor as he is getting ready to make a move out of the car. Remember, we still have racing left, so hang around with us, and Justin Bonsignor will be emerging from that car as soon as all the cameramen do their work, and then it will be up to Bonsignor, the king of Thompson Speedway. 3 wins this year, 4 wins last year. The confetti is about to fly, making for a pretty good video effect. And Derek Pernissiglio is standing by, waiting for Justin Bonsignor. And here he comes. He is climbing out of the car. Let's go to Derek Pernissiglio as we will pick up his interview.
Well, Matt, Derek Pernissiglio making his way in for the Victory Lane celebration. We'll come back.
Well, I guess we are going to wait for Joe to move in as Derek talking to Justin Bonsignor, as it was a pit stop, and that has happened quite a few times in his Thompson win streak. Coming in second, and he just got out in front of Ron Silk. It was a photo finish as to who would get off pit road first, Ron Silk or Bonsignor. And Bonsignor, like he has done several times before, getting a little water shower there, as I think he does not care. He probably doesn't feel anything, because he was a pretty dominant car again today. He maxed out 48 points, but unfortunately for him, he controlled what he could control. What he couldn't control was Doug Kobe, who climbed from 29th to 7th to lock up his 6th title. And that is 22 spots. So Doug Kobe, it didn't come easy for him today. There was a little bit of a scare, but he was able to move his way through the field without many problems. There was one smoke show in turn number 1 that he was able to avoid. But for most of his run, he got into the top 14 and stayed there, which is Doug Kobe, one of the most intelligent drivers there is. I think he knew exactly what he needed to do and how to do it. And he was thrown back. His original game plan didn't work when he was put back to 29th because of a bad tire. But he came up with a new plan, and it turned out to be pretty successful. So the interview between Derek and Justin has wrapped up. And now Joe Koss will move in to talk to the winner of the World Series 150.
And that's Justin Bonsignor. Justin, certainly you did everything you could have to win that championship here today. You won the race, but you came up just a little bit short in the title.
Yeah, we spotted them way too many points in the beginning of the year, and they're way too good of a team to give that big of a lead. So really proud of our effort since Stafford in August. We've really found something in our race cars to be better on both the hard and the soft tire, and we won a handful of races at the end of the year. We didn't get the championship, but we backed up 8 wins from last year with 6 again this year. So I'm really proud of my whole team, and I just love coming to Thompson. We knew we had to dominate today, and that's probably as close to dominating as you could get here. So great car, great pit stop by the guys. Can't thank everybody enough. My whole team, Phoenix Communications, Clearcom IT Solutions, Fury Race Cars, Robert Yates Engines, M3 Technologies, my whole crew, my whole pit crew. all the guys. Ken and Janine Masses, our 10th year together. And I just want to thank all the fans. The weather was unbelievable. We love coming here with you guys, and we sure as hell love winning here.
Well, he did it a lot over the last 2 years. Justin Bonsignor, victorious here in the Sunoco World Series of Speedway Racing. Moving in to make the trophy presentation, John Holland, his brother Dan Holland, and Gary Byington to make the trophy presentation on behalf of Sunoco Race Fuels New England brand here at the World Series of Speedway Racing. This team did about everything they could have done, Matt. Just came up a couple of spots shy throughout the course of the 2019 season to win the championship. We'll finish up some of the Victory Lane celebration, get all the sponsor obligations taken care of and all the photographs, and then Doug Kobe will have the opportunity to parade in front of you as the champion of the 2019 Whelen Modified Tour Series. We'll roll him into Critical Signs Victory Lane, and we'll see a trophy presentation at the end of the championship campaign. Back upstairs to Pete and Matt.
And Joe, Doug Kobe has wrapped up all 6 of those championships right here at Thompson. So the pick 6, today it isn't a football term, it is an auto racing term. And the pick 6 titles for Doug Kobe, 6 wins this year for Justin Bonsignor. And I think he summed it up during his interview with Joe Koss that he just spotted the too many points early in the season, and the Doug Kobe team is just too good to allow much of a comeback. So the championship this year, I think, was decided early when Kobe got off to a pretty good start and Bonsignor did not. So sometimes you win a championship in October, sometimes you win it in April and May, and even before that, because the season started in March. So I think that's when the 2019 season point championship was decided. Before the leaves were on the trees, I think Justin Bonsignor got in too big of a hole that not even a mountain climber could get out of. So Doug Kobe, that car is in the middle of turns 3 and 4, and as soon as the celebration and the picture taking ends for Bonsignor, and that is a very happy group there. There will be a happy group to take their place in Critical Signs Victory Lane. Remember, don't leave. We still have some great racing left. We will determine the winner of the mini stock champion here. 3 drivers within 4 points of each other. And now Doug Kobe. The coronation is about to start, Pete, as Doug Kobe is making his way. Little detour to show everybody the flag.
Yeah, he's got the championship flag there. A little bit of a spin around the infield.
Looks like a wheel of fortune there for Kobe as he spins around in John Deere country.
He'll take a lap around, and this is an opportunity for your fans as he comes on by to give him a big wave and a shout to congratulate Doug Kobe, writing in the NASCAR history books once again with this championship claimed right here at Thompson Speedway today. There were some tense moments. He ended up on pit road with a flat tire and got mired way back for the restart, and anything could happen back there. But
well, when you're 29th, Pete, and you have to be in the top 14 to get a title, I would say there was some nervous moments there. But he had the poise to come up with a new plan, and it was a plan that netted him a title. So Doug Kobe pauses a minute between turns 1 and 2, and now he is rounding turn number 1 and heading for home with a NASCAR championship. Boy, 6 titles, and it wasn't too long ago that Doug Kobe was a student at Richmond, commuting on Friday nights to Stafford to compete in racing, and he went from having the most frequent flyer miles of any driver to having the most championships of any active driver.
let me jump in real quick, Matt. If you participated in the raffle at the Shane Hammond Believe Foundation booth, $367 goes to Blue Ticket 572-123. 572-123. Go right back to that display on the midway to collect your $367.
So remember, in the super modifieds today, somebody won a big raffle and was able to come to Thompson. So maybe that money will help you in your racing travels. So they will get the number 51 car back into the paddock. So one celebration is ending and another one is beginning. And I think it will be lasting far into the night as everybody patting each other on the back. And Doug Colby has done it. Maybe not the most dramatic championship that he has ever won, but he needed to finish in the top 14, and he certainly succeeded. So a lot of familiar faces right now, as they have done a lot of celebrating over the years. Thompson Speedway Motorsports Park. Doug Colby won his first title with the 52 car. There was one year Doug Colby contended for the title, driving for 3 different car owners. So he paid his dues along the way. And it all culminates today in the 6th championship, one ahead of Tony Hirschman and one behind Mike Stefanik. And I think his team can't wait to get the party started.
Yeah, they're going to change out the banners there in Victory Lane, change out the race cars, and roll the 2019 NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour Championship car and driver right into Victory Lane, where the ceremonies will get underway.
And he is there. So now he is getting ready to walk out of the car. He's had pretty good rehearsal with this. 5 previous times he has done this. And now Colby is getting ready to taste victory here at Thompson.
Reminder, if you share any of this on social media, use the hashtag Sunoco World Series. Make sure you include that with your social media posts from this history-making afternoon, part of the World Series here at Thompson Speedway Motorsport Park.
Yeah, I guess it is history. And now they are passing out hats. So championship hats. It can't be a championship without a special hat, I think, these days. And we see them being passed out. And everything is being orchestrated by Kyle Sousa, the publicity director here at Thompson. And that looks good on the top of that car, doesn't it? 2019 champion. So I think everything has to be in place. Every hat has to be on in order for Doug Colby to make his arrival out of the race car. And this has been old hat for Doug Colby, who climbs out of the car. There is your 2019 Whelen Modified Tour champion, Doug Colby. And nobody is better at spraying liquids than Doug Colby because he has had 6 years of practice. So Derek Persiglio will be talking to him first, and then as soon as Derek completes his interview, it will be Joe Koss to move in and get Doug Colby's reaction to his latest champion. When he was, you were with us in the Critical Signs Victory Lane for our interviews today in our Q&A. Doug Colby, he was joking around. If there was any pressure on him, he didn't show it. I think when he went to 29th, there was pressure, but he was pretty loose all day.
I think they were able to keep the nerves at bay until they actually strapped in and got ready for the start of the race. Sure, they both had long meetings with the crew to discuss strategy, both on the racetrack and in the pits, and it played out. It may not have played out exactly the way they planned it, but it played out, and he picks up another championship.
And that is behind him, I think, one of the best teams in motorsports. Because when you keep on doing it against the best drivers in the Northeast, one of the reasons for Kobe's success, well, it's a lot of reasons, and you see them behind the driver. It is those guys who have done the heavy lifting during the course of the 6 championship seasons. And Doug Kobe, one of the best support groups in motorsports. And those guys have to take a bow, too. Those hats are worth a lot. And they deserved him with the way they reacted this season. So Derek is getting ready to wrap up his interview. And then Joe Koss will be stepping in. And Doug Kobe, always a great interview. Very outspoken. No comment. Those 2 words are not in his vocabulary. So it should be a pretty good victory lane. Let's go to Joe.
Well, Doug Kobe is today in the championship. 6 championships puts you in the record books, tying breaking tie you had with Tony Hurst. Describe the day, describe what this number 6 means.
Oh man, hope nobody thought that was easy. This is tough to begin with, and then we have the problem with the flat lifter tire, and of course Justin goes out and takes care of business and leads the most laps and wins, which we all said he was probably going to do. And we had a great car for a while, and then found a line that worked, and then came up through the field, and then all of a sudden the thing just went really free, and I was waiting for that caution. And after the caution, we had a good car. I was pretty racy, but I'm sure my crew would like me to back off of the 58 and won there a little bit sooner than I did. But I'm a racer, man, and until it's lap 150, you don't know how many more restarts there's going to be. So I just wanted to get as many spots as I could, and try to do a good job. And my guys, just this is really tough to do. It's hard to win 1 championship, and then it's hard to win 2, and then to keep doing what these guys do with the preparation in the shop and the dedication, the days away from the family, the work days to fly to places, to drive to places, all these different tracks we go to. This isn't easy to do, and it's a special feeling to win a race on this tour and to win a championship, let alone 6. And it's a humbling feeling to know that all these people believe in me so much, and all the people, all my friends in the stands, you guys who root for me, I really appreciate it, and I really also appreciate you guys rivalries in this series between me and Justin and Ryan Preece and Timmy. So if you guys like those guys, I appreciate you too. I mean, this is what makes modified racing great. Is 40 cars, a packed house at Thompson Speedway. We're the best NASCAR series in the country. And we put our guys no matter what happens with all alignments and different stuff, the modifieds are still the best. Nobody can take that away.
You might have just picked up a few more fans. Congratulations on number 6.
Yeah, thanks, Joe, and thank everybody at Whelen and Sunoco, Thompson Speedway. I grew up racing that Little T, so you guys, little kids out there who are dreaming of running a modified someday here at the Big T, Little T's where it's at, Silver City, quarter midgets, that's the way to go.
Well, Doug, we've done this now 5 times. How about for the 6th time, you step to your right, and we'll go ahead and present to you.
Season prior to make part of the presentation will be the series director for the Whelen Modified Tour, Jimmy Wilson, will get the trophy. Please.
High fives.
No elf or
Do
something.
that. Kobe is done pretty regularly here. We'll turn to the
Thank you, Joe. Wow. Doug, one thing all of us in NASCAR are big on is the history of all of our series. It's really a cool thing to sit here and think that you're now tied with Jerry Cook, 6-time champion. And another little known fact, you're now the 13th driver in all the NASCAR National Series or Touring Series that has now won 6 or more NASCAR championships. So on behalf of the Brains family and all of us in NASCAR, congratulations 6-time on your 2011
is one of the best ever. and Whelen Modified Tour competition number 6 here today. And this whole Mayhew Tools team celebrating here in Critical Signs Victory Lane. Also want to welcome in a very important part of the Whelen Modified Tour. This is Rick Alexander, the Assistant General Manager of Motorsports for Whelen Engineering, to offer his congratulations.
Doug, the Whelen Engineering employees, the family Whelen Engineering also appreciate whatever you do all year long. Congratulations on your hard charging all year long, and congratulations on your championship run today. Thank you.
Thank you, Rick. They will go ahead and pause for a trophy, and then Doug Kobe will do what champions before him have done and hoist that bowl, the championship trophy, adorned with all the names of the champions gone before him in the history of this tour. Rick Alexander from Whelen Engineering and Whelen Motorsports helping make the trophy presentation here today with Doug Kobe, who had to fight his way through a flat tire early on and still came through to win the title. We'll welcome in Mike Smoriglio, who is the car owner for this team. They'll enjoy this trophy celebration. Mike always wanted to be a car owner, came up through sponsoring Sunoco modified type cars, and when the opportunity came for Mike to be able to own a car, put Todd Zegedy behind the wheel, a former champion, then chose Doug Kobe, and that relationship has been magical for these two guys. Phil Moran and the entire team. 5 championships together. Phil Moran is a guy that turns the wrenches behind the scenes, and he is coming over the top of the car. Oh, my goodness. Wow. And for anybody who was wondering, it was Doug who dented the roof. It wasn't Phil. It was dented before Doug. Oh, I saw it. So Phil came in right over the roof of the car celebrating. This guy is in the shop, just like all these crew chiefs and team owners, day in and day out, trying to make this work with a group of folks behind him. And a chance to celebrate and get this championship. I'll welcome in the president of Mayhew Tools, John Lawless, who will go over the hood now to go ahead and stand in for the trophy presentation. Of course, Mayhew stepping up as part of the Dominator Pole Award winning team, been with the team for a couple of years. American manufacturer of tools here in the Northeast, based in Massachusetts. And the big sporters help make this championship come true for Doug Kobe. John Lawless enjoying this opportunity here for a photo in Victory Lane. In a moment, it'll be time. What did I do?
How about my sponsor just crawling over the roof of my car? That Mayhew Tools, John Lawless, that's awesome. Come on.
Not bad at all. Not bad at all. Well, race fans, there's still one thing left to do. You can't win a championship without some champagne, right? We'll go ahead and pass the champagne out to everybody here. We get a chance to celebrate here one last time. Doug Kobe will go ahead and hoist that trophy up high. The pomp and circumstance of a Whelen Modified Tour Championship all comes down to this racetrack every year. The tradition at Thompson, still 4 races left to go before we wrap up the 2019 season, but still some celebration to take place. Doug's got the trophy, and it's in the air. Race fans, how about one more round of applause for your champion in 2019? It's Doug Kobe, the Mayhew Tools, Mike Smoriglio owned team. They'll crack open the champagne, and the celebration will be on for now until the start of the 2020 season. Matt, Pete, we'll send it back upstairs to you. It's been a great day and a great season for the Modified. Still 4 races left to go as the champagne flies in Victory Lane.
Yeah, Joe's getting out of there just in time because the champagne bottles are popping and everybody's getting a champagne shower down there. How appropriate for the crowning of the 2019 NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour champion.